What's going on? Lockie from Outback Tourer. We've had a awning come in today and the bag got damaged out in the tracks. So I just want to make a quick video on how to change it over. It is good to know when you buy a product from us, everything is interchangeable. The way we have these awnings assembled and manufactured, the bag can be replaced, same as tents, everything is replaceable. You probably see behind me, our shed looks like a Bunnings, the amount of parts we have. So without further ado, we'll rip in and show you how to change this over. First things first, not totally necessary. You can do this by leaving them on, but for the sake of an extra couple of minutes, I will undo these little end caps, pull this out, and then we'll get on to the next step. So the other side now, so same again, loosen these off and pop this end bit out. Rightio, next step, flip and zip. Flip that awning over. Get that unzipped so we get access to our hinge bolts. We'll start undoing them. So next step, we need to undo these hinge bolts on the backside. I've got a large head screwdriver. It is stainless. You don't want to use a smaller head screwdriver. You want to keep it big. That way we don't strip anything out. I'm not using an impact driver because, again, don't want to strip anything out. You can, but just be careful. So large head screwdriver. And then we'll start undoing these hinge bolts underneath. So shifter or spanner on top. These bolts will all drop through the bottom side. So we have 9 more bolts on this side. These first 6 have a nut on the inside that we've got to put the spanner on, and the following 3 actually, there's a thread on the back of the hinge that they wind into, so there's no nut there. It's already pre-installed, like pre-threaded, so that's all sweet. So we'll undo these ones and this little plate here, and then we'll get on to the next step. Right, so next step, we've got these backing plates off. You can throw them to the side. Remember which way they go. Unstrap the awning straps like this. Now this is the part where you're going to want to grab a second set of hands, just someone to help hold all this together a bit while we pull that bag out from underneath. So I'll go grab Sea-Dog and then we'll get this pulled out. Rightio, Christian was busy, but we've got Corey to help us, luckily. On this side of the awning, the hinge side, if it is different on yours, it's all sweet. It just might be on the other side, but there is like a little slice on this bag where it wraps around the backing plate. So what we need to do, we need to push this essentially inside out. So Corey, come over here, I'll get you to hold that up. Yep. Hold that one. Then I'm just gonna pull this until it's around this backing plate, like that. And then we're gonna want this essentially to be inside out. Pull that over that, and then we're gonna pull it out from underneath. Rightio, so I'm gonna hold this side up, and then Corey's literally just gonna pull that bag out from underneath. Now the important thing here is we actually see which way it came out. If you just leave that at the end there, because when we put our new bag in, we want to make sure we're feeding it back in the exact same way. That is probably the most confusing part, is trying to get this back in the right way. But if you leave it here, then there's no way we can muck it up and we'll know exactly which end to put in first. So on the bag you took off, you saw before we located which side to come off because of that cut. We need to replicate that cut on the new bag. There's no exact measurement, it's just about like 75 mil. Help if I had a sharp knife. Run that to the end and we'll see if that's big enough. We get a little bit more. No real measurement. That tucks the whole way around the hinge, so it doesn't really matter. And then now we'll be able to feed this on. Alrighty, once we got all the way to the end, we just need to tuck this part back underneath the frame. And that'll give Corey at the other end enough room to do the same thing. So we'll jump over to that camera over there and get that side done. Alrighty, the reason we put that cut in it is so when we get to this point here, we can actually pull this out and tuck it under. And tuck it under like that. And then we're gonna go and sit the awning back square, and we'll skip to the next step where we'll get all this line back up and we'll put the new bolts through the back of the hinge plate and button it all back up. So what I've done, because we need to line this backing plate up with the hinge, I've gone through and put this bolt in here. This is the easiest one to get started because there isn't a nut on the back of it. So use a long bolt. These ones here actually have a shorter bolt, but it is easier to grab this and sandwich it together with the long bolt. Don't forget to put this back plate on. Again, with the long bolt, we're not doing a short bolt yet. I'm going to put this into the top of this awning and get this one started now. Alright, so we've got that long screw in there. Now I'm just going to edge this little plate up like that. I'll take this long screw out because that top one is now supporting everything. And then I'll just finish off. I'll put all these 3 screws in here, 1, 2, 3. And then I'll put these long ones through like that, get that lined up, put the washer and the nut on the inside, and then I'll show you what has to happen on these outside ones. It's a little bit different, but we're all over how to do these 3. And then these 3 here, obviously the longer ones with the nut and washer. All right, last step on this side. These ones have gone in super easy, went through that. These ones we just tightened up. These ones here, because we've put that bag around between the backing plate, the bag is now between these 2 panels here. So all we need to do is get a 6mm drill bit and just like that, just go through that bag. So we're not drilling any metal or material. Now this will go through and come out the other side. And as I said before, we're putting the nut and washer on the back side and tightening these all up. Alright, so our last side, we've got our backing plate, stainless backing plate that has to go on here. These ones at the back, on the inside, it's really tricky to try and get the bolts in while the awning is shut. So I'm just going to use these as a guide and sit them in there, but I'm not going to tighten them up. We're going to do that a bit later. They're just going to sit there as a guide so I know that these 3 are in the right spot, and then same again, we'll run our drill through to go through that bag. Obviously these ones are a bit tricky to get to when it's closed, so normally I'll open this while it's on the car, but it was easier just to do it on the bench. I've just opened it up on the bench. If you've got a bit of space, you can do it on the ground, and then chuck these last 3 nuts on. And then we'll put those end caps back in the end of the saddle track with the first thing we took out, and that is the awning bag changed.